Inspiration, motivation, encouragement, power and unity. Inspiration, motivation, see as Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to On Fire to Inspire. I am Aaliyah, your purpose midwife. I'm so glad, grateful, and happy that you joined us this beautiful, beautiful evening. You could have been doing anything today, but you chose to join us. And for that, we are totally grateful. I tell you, I'm excited about tonight's topic because, I like the topic. Happiness loves company too. I need to slow down, right? Tonight, we are going to thank our sponsors, and do me a favor, hit that share button while we thank our sponsors. Our sponsors, the Brown team, I tell y'all, they are a magnificent husband and wife team. They have 35 years of combined experience in real estate. They are a top sales team with Better Homes and Garden Metro Brokers right there out of Atlanta. They specialize in sellers, buyers, and investors. You can give them a call at 404-843-2500 or 404-786-0873. Ask for Cornelia Brown. Cornelia and Bernard will take great, great care of you. And tell them you heard it right here on Fire to Inspire. Also, UEBdesigns.com. Shout out to UEBdesigns.com. If y'all saw my pictures from the horology experience, the UEB Designs completely did all of my accessories. They totally accessorized me, from the earrings to the necklace to the purse that everybody was trying to take from me that evening. Thank you so much, UEB Designs. And y'all can actually look at some of her stuff on UEBdesigns.com, as well as she's on UEB Designs on Facebook and Instagram. Mom Biz Boss, ladies, if you are an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, you want to join this group of awesome team of ladies. That is Mom Biz, B-I-Z, boss.org. Mom Biz Boss, again, is a group of ladies that all have their own businesses, and you can learn, glean, and collaborate from them. And then finally, if you do not have Leadership Inside of Trajectory inside of your arsenal, you want to add that to your arsenal. Leadership Inside Trajectory is a book by my big brother and apostle, Ricky D. Surratt, and you can get that book at iworkfaith.com. Again, that's iworkfaith.com. And of course, finally, if you don't have any of my books, and happy Book Lovers Day, everybody. If you don't have any of my books, the recently released affirmational coloring book, the journal that was recently released, or any of my other books on Fire to Inspire, the book, the 21-day detox, mind detox, they're all available. And you can go out on my site on firetoinspire.com and get them. You can even get my digital course called Moving from Where You Are to Where You Want to Be. All right, so y'all, thank you again for joining us this great evening. Hit that share button as we bring our guest on tonight. And we're going to be bringing author Anthony Jameyson on with us. And the topic tonight is happiness loves company too. Welcome to On Fire to Inspire. How are you this great evening?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, I want you to tell me, what does the topic happiness loves company too? What does that topic mean to you, or what does it say to you?
Man, it says so much. It's really the spinoff from Misery Loves Company. Everybody know that cliche. And so we wanted to really get to a place where we teach people and show them that, you know what, don't give misery your company, because happiness loves company too. And so that topic really just came just from the inspiration of me going through my own trials, my own stuff, my own level of misery. So um, I had to make that choice to be able to say, you know what, my happiness matters. And so because my happiness matters, then, you know, now I understand and discovered that happiness truly loves company too.
Okay, I like that. You said don't give, and I actually put that in the chat. I put don't give misery your company. I like that. I like that. That really stood out to me. So, introduce yourself to the listeners. You know, you've never been on Friday Inspire, so welcome. So, tell the people who is author Anthony Jameson.
Well, author Anthony Jameyson is a bivocational pastor, you know, so that's what I do full time. This is actually my third book. I just never released my second. And so, um, man, you know, I'm just trying to love life and live life and just want people to grow to be better. And, you know, truly happiness is a choice. And I'm just trying to inspire people to choose it.
That's good. You said happiness is a choice, and I'm inspiring people to choose it. Let's talk about that. Let's dive into that. Happiness is a choice. What made you, you know, you said the inspiration came from of writing this book came from some your life situations.
Mhm.
What was your turning point of saying, you know what, I choose to be happy. I'm gonna choose this.
Well, first of all, we got to remember that misery is the source. And so we deal with the misery, we deal with the pain, we deal with the sadness. And so if you're not careful when you're going through all three of those phases, you're going to always try to bring someone into where you are. And I'll tell you what made it make sense to me was I heard myself talk one day. I was with some friends and the stuff that I had gone through, some of my own trials in life, I literally heard myself talking. The friends that I was with never ever really stopped me. They kind of just respected me and allowed me to go on to vent. But I tell you, I heard myself and it was miserable conversation. It was miserable. And at the moment, while I'm talking to them, basically what I'm doing, I'm bringing them into my misery of where I was. And so, you know, with the help of the Spirit of God, I heard myself, and I made a decision that day not to talk like that anymore.
I like that. You said I heard myself and I made a decision that I wasn't gonna talk like that because you
Right.
understand the power of your words. And
Exactly.
so, and it's important about self talk because if you were talking like that to them, it makes me think that you may have been talking like that to yourself and
Well,
not really.
even if you wasn't talking like that to yourself, you
Mhm.
were feeling that.
True, true.
You know, you were feeling that, and so misery needs company of somebody else so that, hey, you not only you're feeling bad but now they're feeling bad, and it just really it's really something that we have to rid ourselves of.
Good, good. Now, what was some was there particular tools that you used to shift that mindset and shift that the way of doing things? What were some of the strategies that you used or tools, if you will, to shift to make that shift of just saying I can't be I can't be like this anymore.
Well, one of the things that a lot of us as men don't want to do, we don't want to go sit down and talk to anybody. And so I'll be candid, I'll be transparent that I went to see a therapist because of where I was. I did that for three reasons. One, one to shatter my ego because we as men, that's one of the things that we have that our egos won't allow us to do. So I had to shatter my whole entire ego. From there, I did it for the second reason was I really needed somebody with the clinical background who knew where I was to be able to share with me how to overcome those particular things. And then thirdly, so first, not only did I shatter my ego, Secondly, I needed somebody to talk to. And thirdly, it was for me to be able to say to other people that it's okay for you to find somebody to help you come through those challenges in life.
You know what? I commend you, first of all, for doing that, because so many people, mental health is serious, especially coming out of the pandemic and stuff. There's been so many situations that have arisen and had people gone and gotten, proper help. So a lot of things may have been stopped. So
Right.
I commend you, first of all, with that. And then secondly, our community, our ethnicity, there's such a taboo on therapy. One of the things there go my friend that's a therapist. Hey, Dr. Jones. Dr. Loretta was like, hey, she says excellent transparency. She's over there in LinkedIn land. Thank you for tuning in over there. But one of the things in our community, a lot of times it's so taboo for us to do this. No, that shows your strength. That shows that, hey, I'm strong, but right now this is a place that I need to be stronger. So
Well,
I
when you
can,
break down misery, if you break it down, it's actually depression.
yeah.
It's
Mhm.
actually depression. And so many people get sucked into that particular place that they don't even know how to come out of it. And you have to have people that are around you who are strong enough to allow you to vent for a while, but also be able to help you overcome those challenges. I think that's very important to where we never look at how important our happiness is. And so one of the things I'm telling people now is, first of all, your happiness matters just as well as anybody else's happiness matters, and never depend on anyone else to make you happy. You have to have the internal happiness for yourself. When you meet someone, they should have the internal happiness for themselves, and then together you create another dynamic of happiness.
That's awesome. That is awesome, because you can't make somebody happy that's not already happy within themselves.
Right.
You'll be miserable just because you're miserable.
Right.
So yes,
Yeah. Well,
yes,
we really don't have the power to make anybody else happy.
no,
You don't
no,
have it. We don't possess it. We don't
yeah,
possess
that's
it.
true. That's true. And that right there requires some inner work, some inner, looking in the mirror and saying, hey, you know what, God, you got to help me. We get some great feedback. They're saying, say to that internal, and then he got some hand claps saying, so true. So yes, I mean, this is something that so many people need to do. And I love the fact that, my cousin is a therapist. My friend, Dr. Jones, is a therapist. And, with her, what I learned, that grief doesn't necessarily mean that somebody died. When
Right.
when she said that to me, she was like, you know what, Aaliyah? She was like, grief ain't necessarily that somebody died. Grief is actually dealing with something that like misery,
Mhm.
things that's beyond your control. And so I've learned so much having friends in that capacity.
Right.
Now, um, you said that was one of the tools that you used. Is there another tool that you used in addition to that?
Yes. You have to deal. You have to deal with the trauma. If you don't deal with your past trauma, it'll meet you in your future.
Come on now.
And so many times we never deal with our past traumas, and so we get into relationships not having dealt with our trauma. We get into relationship not having dealt with certain issues, and so when you look around, you have divorces on the rise, and divorce is everywhere. It's in the church. It's on the job. It's in the schools. It's all over the place. And so what we have to do is make sure that we handle the traumatic stuff that we've dealt with. And so that's particularly why your misery can really get to a place where it get the best of you, because it's strongly connected to the trauma that you've been through.
That's good. That's good. And I think a lot of times people put band-aids on things, and at some point that band-aid comes off,
Right.
right? Let's talk about that band-aid coming off.
Well, um, the band-aid comes off and the wound is exposed.
Say that.
And so if you haven't treated it, then now you're going to deal with the infection of it. And so the infection is what causes misery, if you will, to cause us to become depressed. And from a depressed state, we're at a place now we learn to self-medicate. How do we do that? You got your drugs, you got your alcohol, you got your promiscuous sex, all of these different things that now you use to self-medicate simply because you did not deal with the traumatic experience.
That's good. That's real good. Um, all right. I was typing typing some of these nuggets in because when I type it from my end, they can
Mhm.
actually see it in all three platforms. So yeah. Wow, this is good stuff. Good stuff. Um, so after there, and one of the things I noticed, and what's real is you have to admit that there is a problem. You know how you can't fix something that you won't admit is there. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm good. I'm okay, but you're not, and it's okay to say that you're not okay.
Right.
You know, everybody want to put on this strong front for what, and you're miserable.
Well, and see, I think people got to realize when you're miserable, you ought to get tired of trying to be the strong person, because if you act like you're strong, then people gonna treat you strong, but in essence, you're actually weak, and you never really get to the root of the problem.
True, true. This is good. This is good. And I hope a lot of men are listening to this because I think some of the women would be more apt to go to therapy than a man will. Like you said, you had to shut your pride down by just saying I'm doing this. So I'm hoping a lot of men are listening because there are some deep rooted things that some people have dealt that have allowed to. Hold them hostage, if you will, to their past, maybe with childhood trauma. Um, what do they call it? It's called ACE. I can't think of it. It's basically where a child has dealt with something that was traumatic and they kind of get stuck in that place in their mind. So, say you went through homelessness at 16.
Right.
Well, sometimes you may be 32, but you're still operating from that mindset of that 16-year-old homeless person. And so
Right.
you got to get some help to get beyond that.
Well,
So, what we
usually that would be like a ACE score. Every person could take this ACE module, and there's a particular score that you score, and it can tell you the level of trauma that you may have dealt with in your childhood.
Okay, Dr. John says, reach one, teach one. Okay, now. Yes, yes, I love it. Um, so there is a score that I didn't know about that. Yes.
And
Wow.
when you get to the score, it may be like axis 1, 2, or 3. So somewhere in that spectrum, you will fall.
Okay, gotcha. Great evening to you, co-pastor. Great evening, everybody, as you're joining in. So we're talking about happiness loves company too, and how his book, with this title, was inspired. How God, allowed him to kind of step into a place of healing. And so I'm loving, loving, loving your transparency because a lot of people don't want to see. They want to see how you made it, but they don't want to see how you made it. You know what I'm saying? They
Right.
don't
Well,
want to
well,
see.
people will see, and here's the danger, because sometimes they will see your healing, but you sometimes have to talk about your road to recovery.
Okay.
And sometimes we don't talk about the road to recovery because sometimes it's embarrassing. But you have to press through that and talk about it, because there's somebody that may be in the same position that you are that them knowing your journey will help them overcome.
Yes, 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 yes. I agree wholeheartedly. When I was in Atlanta this weekend at the Herology Experience, we had like some girl talk time, and that session, you were able to hear people's stories, and you saw women that was like, "Wow." And what the enemy wants to do is make us feel like you're in it by yourself. You know, when you're going through that, the enemy made you feel like, okay, ain't nobody been in here but me. And you can see the faces, you can see the countenance of people's faces saying, I went through that. Oh,
Right.
wow, that was me. Or you may have seen somebody that's saying, I'm there now, and she
Right.
made it through. You know, so you are so right in that process of recovery. Or even though you're healed, let me show you what I've been through.
Right.
You know, because you see me now smiling, but you didn't see me when I was bleeding.
Right.
You know?
Because I truly believe now that whatever you've had to encounter, it don't have to be 5 years before you heal and recover. If you get the faster you get to the steps of being able to heal, then you'll discover that. But here's some aspects that we need. You need some good friends, and you need a good therapist, and you need a good outlet. Those are
Okay.
the things that that draws your happiness back to where it needs to be. And I promise you, if you ever find the peace in your happiness, you'll never compromise it ever again.
You know what? I like that because you know I remember saying one time, if it costs me my peace, I don't want no part of it.
Right,
It's too
right,
costly. You
right.
know.
Your
And
happiness is strongly connected to your peace.
yes, 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 yes. I love that. I love that. Your happiness is connected to your peace.
Yes.
Um, what would you say to the men that's listening, or to the men that's listening, whether they live listening live or they're going to listen to the recording? What would you say to that man that says, you know what, brother, I hear what you're saying, and I need to do some of that work you're talking about? What
Mhm.
would you say to that man to say? What would you
I
say
would,
to him?
I would, I would say to that brother, I would tell them to shatter their ego, shatter their ego. Get to someone who has the clinical background and the expertise to be able to give you certain steps, you know, that they're not judging you, but they're allowing you to judge your own self and cause you to overcome those things. I think for us men, one of the greatest problems that we have is that, number one, we don't communicate with the right people, or we don't communicate with those who we trust. So we got to shatter our ego and get to a place. And first of all, know that you are broken. See, nobody want to deal with the brokenness. And for us who are men, maybe we didn't have the father figure to raise us and direct us in certain ways. And so for years, we probably walked around with that bottled up, and somewhere, the pressure will blow the top off. And so we got to get to that place where we're being open, we're being honest, and we're not afraid to allow our vulnerability to be seen.
I like that. And that place of being open and honest, because when you're open and honest with yourself, then you can move forward. But if you're not
Correct.
even honest with yourself, how can you heal? How can you move forward? It makes sense. I love it. Another gentleman just said for real. That's what I'm talking about. He said for real.
Mhm.
So exactly, Dr. Jones says exactly communication is key.
Yeah.
And she says it's a great advice that you're sharing in this interview. What would you say to um, hmm, okay, I'm gonna switch gears on us, okay?
Okay.
What would you say to the woman that's actually dealing with that unhealed man, and and he's not willing to go get any help right now. How can you help her at least maintain her peace until that work is done?
Well, she would need to know the dynamics of who he is, where he come from, how was he raised, what transpired in his past. She need to know those things, and she got to be respectful of those particular things, you know. And she has to have the heart that is willing to help him um, get to a place where either they're going to talk to somebody together, or she can really support him while he go talk to someone alone. Um, but she would definitely have to understand, because here it is. How she handles him will strongly help how the trajectory of that happens.
Mhm.
She can cause him to open up, or she can cause him to shut down. And so her patience is key of knowing what actually he has been through.
Okay, okay. So for the person that who is the target audience for Happiness Loves Company 2? Who is that target audience that will say, I need this book, I'm getting it today? Who is that target audience that this book is for?
Man, that target audience is anybody who desires to be happy. It's their choice, and they can choose it right now, you know. Um, or if they say, you know what, I'm going to stay stuck in my misery, then when you look around, you're going to find other people who support your misery, and you may never overcome it. And you got to you just so the spectrum is everybody that desires to be happy.
Okay, okay. Dr. Jones says, tune in to what he says and what he don't say. That's
Right,
true.
exactly, exactly.
That is true. And then you have to be his safe place because
Yes,
he can't feel like he can't trust you because he's not going to open up and is not going to want to go get help if he can't trust you as his helpmate. Right.
right, right.
Yes.
And I mean, not I think one of the greatest thing, because as a black man, we need our sisters to talk to us, not at us.
That's good.
I hear you when you talk to me. I can't understand when you talk at me.
I like that. Yeah. And that's vice versa. When you're having a conversation, conversations are when you're talking to and with each other, not you talking at me and no. So
I mean,
yes, I agree.
it's effective communication. I tell people all the time that there's three levels of communication. There's good communication, there's bad communication, then there's no communication.
True.
Which you got to learn how to always execute the good communication, the effective communication.
I like that. You said three types: it's good, the bad, and the none. Yes.
Right.
And many times when it's bad, you don't have any communication. And if,
Correct.
if it is, it's very poor or arguing. Um, how can they get this book? How can they get this book? They're ready to be happy. How can they get it?
Well, listen, they can go to anthonyjamison.com, and once they, order that book, I will personally autograph it, and we will get it shipped out to them. And I make that autograph personal because it's ministry. So, although that person who's purchasing the book may not know me, but there's going to be a message in there for them that they will always be able to turn to and be inspired. And so also in the back of the book, there's a couple of page journal that they can just start journaling from that point, to be able to say, you know what, I need to jot this down. I need to jot that down. I need to mark this in the book, and they can just start their healing process with being able to release certain things through the stroke of a pen.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds to me that as they're reading, it may hit home in some places and allow them
Yes.
to want to open up.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the first process that I had to do was I had to open up to myself.
Okay.
See, see, I can fool everybody else at some point for a duration of time. But when I look in that mirror, I can't fool myself for a second.
That's true. That's true. So in order to open up to yourself, you could no longer stay into a place of denial.
No. And you have to get to that place where you're open and honest with yourself. And here's the other part of Aaliyah, that you have to find someone who you can be accountable to.
Okay. Find someone you can be accountable to.
Yes.
All right.
That's gonna keep it 100 with you. I tell you, I won't share my therapist's name, but my therapist literally, when he saw the state that I was in, he literally had to come to me man to man, and he had to say some things to me that I probably wouldn't have agreed with, but he said certain things that challenged my manhood, that caused me to have to stand and overcome those things. Otherwise, I would have fallen to my own demise of what I was thinking. And so that's why I'm at the place now where, you know what, my happiness is just as important as anybody else's happiness. As a matter of fact, before I attempt to try to make anybody else happy or share any happiness with anyone, I need to make sure that I've done that with myself.
That's good. That is good. Because if you're not, how can you help somebody else or help somebody else in a place, take them into a place of happiness, if you're not happy.
Well, you can't, and I think we have so many people. And I mean, if we can just be real for real right now, there are so many people that are in relationships, they're in marriages, and they're trying to make other people be responsible for their happiness.
That's true. And you can't.
Right.
You can't. Yes, yes, yes. So your step one was being real with yourself, no, opening up to yourself, and your step
Open
two was
up to me.
finding someone to be accountable to, which was I put an accountability partner. Was there a step three?
Well, step three is dealing with your past trauma, dealing with that past trauma. Do you know how many people have traumatic experiences that they never share with their partners? You know, and I think that's what we got to start doing. We got to start having the hard conversation. We got to start talking about the serious things. How compatible are we? Are we compatible enough to even be in this relationship? We may like each other's company, but are we compatible enough to sustain the trials that are going to come?
What was the A and ACE? I've been trying to remember what the A stood for. Man, I can't think of it. It'll come to me when we get off.
Right. I'm not sure. I just know because I took that same module.
Hmm.
And so again, when you take it, you're gonna fall in one of those three categories. One, two, or three, you're gonna fall in those categories. And each category is severe, more severe than the other.
I remember. It's called Adverse Child Experiences. I knew it. I couldn't think of it. It's called Adverse Child Experiences, and it's very real. And so, is that something you took online?
No, I used to work for Chris 180, and Chris 180 was a youth organization that, as a service social service coordinator, we had to take all this different level of training and stuff like that. So from time to time, we would have to take those level of courses. Personal, we had to take those level of courses.
Gotcha. So we got to deal with the trauma. Well, let's rewind. So number one, you have to open up to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Come out of denial. You got to open up to yourself.
Right.
Number two, you had to find that accountability partner.
Yes.
Then number three, it's time to deal with the trauma. It's time
Gotta
to deal
deal
with
with
that.
Got to deal with it.
Wow. Any final words for whether it's a gentleman listening or any of the sisters listening? Because you got a lot of sisters, they got their makeup on perfectly, they got their weave, they got their lashes, but they bleeding on the inside. And
Right.
that's some of the things that we were talking about at that experience on Saturday. What would you say to any of these people that look like they got it together? They really don't. What would you
Well,
say?
one of the things I know as a pastor is we do an awesome job not looking like what we've been through. There's so many people, we have learned how to master that. And so here's what I would say to everybody that's listening to this: find that internal peace so you can experience your external happiness. These are the things that means something to your life. And being happy is just not a state of sometime. Being happy is a state that you can always have that for yourself and never depend on anybody else to make you happy. Anybody else that comes into your life, they should only be able to come and add to the happiness that you already have. If they happen to leave, at least they only leave with the happiness that they brought. They'll never take your happiness away.
That's good. That's real good. Because so many people get so caught up in, but I can't live without her. I can't live without him.
Right. Right.
Yeah, you can.
I think Tony Braxton wrote that song that she couldn't breathe without it.
Yeah, she sure did.
Well, you had better start breathing without them, because people sometimes will exit your life. And man, if you don't get a hold of your happiness, then you will lay in misery, and that's dangerous for your life.
Yes. Anything final?
No, thank you for the opportunity. I just, my goal in life at this point is to just promote happiness. I want to make sure people understand that happiness is a choice that you can choose, and you have to choose it. And I always know that you don't have to compromise it for anybody.
Co-pastor says that this has been very informative and self-reflective. Now I want you to tell them again how they can get a copy of that book, Happiness Loves Company Too.
You can get that book at anthonyjameson.com.
All right.
Anthony
And
Jameson.
how can they follow you?
They can follow me on Facebook, Anthony Jameyson. They can follow me on Instagram, Anthony Jameyson. They can follow me on Twitter at Anthony Jameyson.
All right. So you're on Facebook, IG, and Twitter as Anthony Jameson.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We look forward to hearing some more new things that are coming out with author Anthony Jameyson.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Have a blessed night.
You too.
Y'all, this was such an awesome interview. If you missed any of it, you want to go back and listen to the replay, do me a favor. I want y'all to, and I'm going to put our link in here. I want you to go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe. We are actually trying to hit a certain number, and we are 40 away from that number. I need y'all to go over there and hit subscribe to that. And then I want you to hit like, and then what stood out to you in this interview. So it's going to be up there tonight. I want you to go over and actually do that in the YouTube side of things, because there are some people that need to hear this. Y'all need to share it with your family. You need to share it with your friends, because we are an ethnicity that feels like, well, something got to be wrong with you. No, there's nothing wrong. There's something wrong if you don't go and get some assistance and getting past and get healed, getting healed and not looking like it. There's no more time for this looking good and still not being healthy. One thing about healed and healthy, it's total healing and total health. So that mental health, that physical and emotional, you can have that perfect size and that perfect body, but if you're still not good here or here, you're not good. So y'all make sure you go back and listen to that again. Go out and go to our YouTube channel, and that is Leah the Purpose Midwife. I will put that link out here. Y'all go share this with someone, because this needs to be heard. And y'all come back next week. We're going to have a guest. He will be coming in. He is the topic is Man on Fire. He's going to be sharing his testimony, and he lost his legs. He's an amputee. He lost his legs, young man. I think he was diagnosed at 12 or 16 with diabetes. He lost his legs. He's a father. He's a husband. And he is going to be sharing his story with us, Man on Fire. And he's getting ready to get new legs and things of that nature. And he's going to tell us about his story and how we can help. So y'all come on back to Man on Fire next week. Same time, same place. All right, guys. I see you at that time. Y'all have a blessed one. Love y'all.